Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is just a short day in the life thrift with me. I had thrifted a couple other places on this same day, but I put them in separate videos to not make this video too long. But it seems like the majority of you have said that you don't mind the longer videos, so I do have a longer one coming soon. I actually have so many videos filmed that I'm probably going to post 3 days a week for a few weeks now. So our first stop was at this clothing store that we buy and resell clothing. I feel like I mention all the time, but just in case you don't realize. So we went to one of our favorites first. We got there for opening, found so many amazing pieces right away. My cart was like full. I don't know if I got like a good shot of that. And John also had a cart that had a bunch of good stuff in it. So we finished up there. It usually spends about an hour. Then we went to another big clothing store, and I actually did film in this. That was my last video, so I'll leave those linked below. And we were in there for about an hour and a half. So then we had a little lunch as anyone surprised. We had some Impossible Whoppers. I wanted to capture a little bit of this town. They have like a lot of historic buildings downtown, but they have them painted these really fun colors. It's really cute. It's about like an hour-ish away from where we live, so we don't come here that often, but I thought they were so pretty, and I didn't really mind like filming like this because I just look like a tourist, because it's a very touristy town. So this was back in the end of July. Then we went to the Salvation Army in this town, which I also posted in a separate video. I'll link that below. This was a really good trip. I feel like I found a lot of good stuff. So we got done there, and then we went to another clothing store in the same town. We like strategically plan all this out before we like go. So in this thrift store, I'm pretty sure we've been here before. This is kind of a weird one. They have clothing obviously, but then they have, you know, like secondhand goods, but then they also sell a lot of new things that are, I don't know, just seemingly very random. They do have some records here, but I feel like I've looked through them a bunch of times and they're nothing I'm interested in, or they're kind of expensive. Like some of them are like $10, I think, but they have just a lot of like weird things in here, like a bunch of candles. Sometimes they have like fall candles, so I was hoping I might find some pumpkin candles, but they didn't have any on this day, probably because it's still summer. But it's mostly just a lot of random kind of decor stuff, and I don't know, but sometimes you can find some good stuff, so I do like to skim through it, because sometimes they'll just be selling things that look very retro. I don't think they're trying to make it look retro. I just think it's like really outdated merchandise maybe, or I don't know, it's almost like you'd find it at a department store in the 90s or something. I don't know, it's weird, but I have found some kitchen towels that have a very retro vibe. So John was checking out the little toy corner and seeing if there was anything down there that was old that we could resell. Sometimes we find stuff that we can resell that you know, is very inexpensive, but we know that it's older. So then they have some bins filled with actual like thrifted stuff, not new stuff. Have this one filled with a lot of just clear glass stuff. I feel like it's been the same for at least a year in there. And John saw this like cookie tin. He was saying, "Oh, do you remember getting these at Christmas time?" Which I did. It's like the store brand from where we live, the province where we live. So we're just reminiscing about I think they're like shortbread cookies. They also have a bunch of used books, but I usually just kind of skim that. I have so many books already that I still need to read that I've told myself I shouldn't buy anymore. So I'm trying not to do that for a while until I get through some of the ones that I have. But again, more random stuff, kind of like school supplies. I did see some really cute notebooks that I didn't end up getting, but maybe the next time I go, I might. I really like this set of 3 small ones. I thought they would be the perfect size for like a gratitude journal. It would fit in my nightstand really easily, but for some reason I didn't get it. But even looking at them again, I'm like, why didn't I just get those? It would be perfect for what I've been looking for. And then I noticed this really cute cloud one too that's kind of the same, like very small, perfect size for like a gratitude journal. So then I decided to start getting down to business. We were here to look at clothing, but also I was like filming for this video. So I decided to get to kind of the section where they have used things, but on the way they have more new stuff. So I just kind of breezed over. And then now we're getting into more like of the used stuff. I feel like they mostly have the same stuff here a lot, but I have found some good things here. I noticed this coffee pot, it says Maxwell House, but I used to work in a like 1950s diner, and we used to have basically the exact same pots that we would use, except they didn't say Maxwell House. We used a different kind of coffee, but it reminded me of that so much. It's been a long time since I worked there, but it brought back all the memories. And then I did notice that there was a Spice of Life teapot here. I felt like it was priced a little high for reselling, so I just left it there. Although, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the price of something is like, yeah, it's around that, and then I'll look like 6 months later and it will be so much more. Like, oh. And then I noticed they had a bunch of green vases up there, just like the one that I have at home. But most of this stuff I feel like was here the last time I was here. I did notice that they had some spring blossom teacups and saucers. I already have a whole bunch of these, so I didn't eat them for myself. And I didn't feel like they were priced good enough to resell either. But I thought this plate was really pretty. But again, I feel like I always say this, but I just don't need anything. And I don't feel like this stuff sells that well to pick it up for the price. I'm sure some China patterns resell for a decent amount of money. It's just I don't have enough information to know that on the fly, nor did I feel like looking up all this every time I see a piece of china. So one thing that we have been selling quite a bit of is like shoes and boots. So I decided to look at the wall down here because it's really, they have a ton of shoes in the store. And I noticed these shoes right away. Like as I was walking up, I was like, oh, those look so cool. They look so like 70s-esque. And then I noticed that they were Steve Madden. So I thought, oh, well, maybe we could resell these. But I was also like, I really like these shoes. So I was contemplating it. I was talking about it with John, like, well, we could maybe resell these. So I was just kind of thinking about it. But then I decided to head over to the media part. They have like books over here as well, but they have a lot of DVDs and VHS as well. So I like to come over here. They have a lot of cookbooks here. I have got some really good cookbooks here, so I do like to take a little browse every time I'm here. And of course, I always want to look at the VHS. I noticed right away that they had a copy of Long Long Trailer, which is such a good movie. It's if I would highly recommend this movie, especially if you are a fan of I Love Lucy, because they filmed this movie, I think, in between seasons. Like one of the seasons when they were filming I Love Lucy, but it's very like I Love Lucy, just, you know, different characters. But I mean, they're kind of a lot, their characters are a lot the same, I think. And it's just a very, very like cute movie. It's one of my like comfort movies. And yeah, I just never get sick of it. I did end up getting a few VHS on this day, but I put those in like a combined VHS haul video that I posted last week. So then we left there and we went to the mall. So going to the mall is such a novelty for me because all of the malls around us are basically dead malls. This one actually isn't a dead mall. I do think that they had a few stores that were maybe empty, but for the most part it's not a dead mall, which is so bizarre to me. But we went there so I could buy John a birthday gift because it was his birthday the next day, so I just put a little shot of his cake in there that I made him. It's actually a peanut butter cheesecake, plant-based of course. And then as we were walking through the mall, I noticed this Coach purse like through the window, so the front of the store had glass, and with this rainbow strap, and this reminded me so much of the early 2000s. I feel like I had a purse, not a Coach purse, but with like that rainbow strap. And I also used to have a belt that was like a seat belt buckle, but it was rainbow. It was, I don't know, it's so weird. It's weird how that stuff's back in style. So then we went to the movies, which I was so excited to go to the movies. We saw the Barbie movie. This was like right after it came out too. And we both loved it. I thought it was so funny. I love Margot. I love her in like every movie I've seen her in. And I think Ryan did such a good job with the Ken character too. It was really fun to go see it. John actually really loved it too. He wasn't like super excited to see it, but he was like, wow, that was so much better than I thought it was going to be. So we got these like little combo meals because they had Barbie cups, but they were already sold out of the Barbie cups, but they had these Ninja Turtle cups instead because that movie was coming out in a couple of weeks. Well, we ended up selling those Ninja Turtle cups on eBay for like $80 or something, so it was so great. I don't know. It's cool. Anyway, we live about like I said, about an hour away from where we were at, so we saw a matinee, and then we decided to drive home after that because we didn't want to leave Marley home alone too long. So it was such a beautiful day out though, so we drove home. And I think we just ended up working on like all the clothing we had bought when we got home, so I didn't really film anything else, but I did want to share that I did end up getting the shoes. I ended up trying them on, and they're pretty much a perfect fit. They might be like the slightest bit too big, but I don't think that will be too much of a problem once they're like, you know, strapped on my foot. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Like I said, I'll have probably 3 videos a week for a few more weeks because I have a lot filmed, but there are some longer videos coming now that I know that I don't have to like split them apart because you guys seem to say that you don't mind. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you again really soon.